So I've been going on Reddit recently, just trying to figure out what people struggle with and what people have problems with, and kind of giving my 2 cents. Sometimes I'll type things out and give my 2 cents as much as possible. But then I realized instead of me always just typing out different responses to people on Reddit, why not just make a video and answer it? And I figured chances are if one person has a problem, then other people might have the exact same problem or a similar problem. So I'm going to read a post that I found on Reddit. I thought it was interesting. The title caught my eye and try to give my 2 cents to this. Hopefully it'll be of some help to some people. So the title is, does self-improvement really work, or is it just the way how we cope with how bad our life is? It's an interesting sense. And so the guy says, I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to put something on the screen so you can kind of read it yourself. But basically he's saying he's been on his self-improvement for 2 years. He started to see some changes, made new friends, went to the gym and saw some progress, which is fantastic. That's good that he saw progress. It didn't last long. It fell to pieces. His motivation fell. And he started socializing less, started eating unhealthy. And he began sitting alone and avoiding human contact. He started watching porn again, and it didn't feel right. He started his self-improvement journey again, and now it's all different. He says that he sits there and watches countless videos, reads countless self-help books, and goes to a therapist each month. It just feels useless, though. So it seems like he kind of just ends up, it seems like at some point he did have some good momentum. He was taking action and he was seeing some results. But for whatever reason nowadays, he's kind of falling into this situation where it just feels useless. And then the final thing he puts on here is his biggest issue is he used to watch self-improvement videos and get chills. He used to get that drive to go get it, work for it, but now he doesn't feel anything. He just binge watches those videos like movies and TV shows. So he's pretty much just masturbating. It's basically what it is. He's masturbating to self-improvement content instead of actually doing anything. At least that's what I'm gathering from his post. And I'm assuming it's a he. It could be a she, but I'm assuming it's a he. I just read self-improvement books for the sake of reading, and I just zone out while reading and learning nothing. Why is it different this time? I think this is a pretty interesting post, and I will say that I relate to this actually quite a bit. A few years ago, I used to work at this law firm, and I was making good money. I've told the story in different videos, but I was making some pretty good money, and I felt very self-sufficient. I had my own apartment, and at one point I actually had quit my job, and I had started my own company with somebody else, with a business partner. And things were going very good for the most part. Things were actually fantastic. Every day I woke up pretty happy. I had time to myself. I had extra money. So you didn't feel like you had to do anything. You just felt like you were in control of your life, or at least that's the way I felt about it. And things kind of changed just because around that time it was during COVID and I was spending all this money on my apartment, and I kind of thought it was pointless. I figured instead of me spending, I think my apartment was like $1,700 or $1,800 a month when you factor in like electric and all the other stuff like gas and internet, everything else. It was like 17-ish, 1,800-ish per month. And again, it was during COVID that I lived there. So they had all these restrictions. You couldn't have people over. I still had people over. But most people were too afraid to come over. And I didn't even have furniture, really. I had like one small couch. It was like a futon that folded out into a couch. And I didn't even buy it. My mom got it for me because she was so upset. Just because I was so unwilling to buy furniture. I didn't have a TV. Because I don't really watch TV that much. And I ended up moving. And I just ended up kind of moving to a small place where it's just a room. That's where I'm at now. Just because it was a lot cheaper. And I didn't see the point to having my own apartment at the time, just because it was just extra money. It's like, why spend so much on an apartment where literally my entire day was I'd get up, go to the gym, and just work the entire day, work on the business the entire day, and do real estate on the side. And I would literally just sit in like one spot. Of course, I would stretch, listen to music, clean up, whatever. But for the most part, I was sitting in one spot. And I couldn't even have friends over, which is the reason why I got the apartment in the first place. If I knew COVID was going to happen when I first signed the lease, I wouldn't have got that apartment. I would have probably just had roommates and kind of just did what I'm doing now. So I say this because when I moved for like a whole year, like half a year, full year-ish, I had almost no motivation. And I think the reason it's because I kind of just abruptly moved from one place to another. My entire routine by default shifted. Like I ended up moving to a new place. It's called Centerville. I went from like Leesburg to Centerville, and everything just changed so dramatically. Like my routine changed, the external factors changed because now you're with other people and other people have their own schedules and stuff like that. Everything changed. And I lost my motivation. And it took me about a year to really like force myself to get back into my routine. And it's not the exact same routine that I had back then, but I think it's a routine that's solid for me now and it works well. So I totally get where this guy's coming from, where and because I went through that same thing too, where I would sit there and just watch self-improvement videos and you don't get the same feeling from them. Sometimes it feels like everything's just being repeated. You're not getting new insights. You're not getting new information. You're not getting that motivation, but you almost trick your brain into feeling like you're being productive because you almost associate watching a self-improvement video with being productive despite you not having actually done anything. So I totally get where this dude's coming from. Now, he's saying, why is it different this time? And this is hard to kind of gather based on what he posted because, like I said, it could be that maybe something changed in his life, like maybe he moved somewhere or maybe he got a new job or a new routine or something. Like he puts that his motivation fell and they stopped socializing, which is probably part of it too. He's probably not getting that human contact. I mean, without knowing that much about him personally, it's hard to say. What I would personally recommend if the roles switched and if I were in his shoes, and this is always what I kind of recommend people do. First things first, I would sit there and think, what is truly missing in my life? Like, what can I really improve on? And I usually break things down into 3 categories: health, wealth, and relationships. He might be in a position where he has a job and he makes good money. Okay, so if that's the case, then wealth is probably not the thing he should be working on. It said that, I thought I read that he went to the gym and he saw progress. Depending on how much progress he's made, I would either focus on the gym first or not focus on the gym. And I say this just because if he made a little bit of progress, say for example, he's overweight and he made a little bit of progress, which means like maybe he lost like 10 or 15 pounds, but he's still overweight, then I would make the goal to just go to the gym. Make the goal to go to the gym. And I would also make it so that way going to the gym is a good day. Like you in your head need to recognize that that is a successful day. That's a good day. You've achieved something. That's how I would kind of take this. If his physique or his shape is not the thing that he feels is holding him back, and it seems like maybe socializing might be the thing. He said he stopped socializing. I'm curious to know why. I'd be curious to like talk to him and understand like what's changed, why he stopped socializing. Was it like a breakup? Maybe his friends were just being dickheads or pieces of shit and he stopped hanging out with them. I don't know what it is. But if the health isn't the thing that he needs to handle, and if the money is not the thing he needs to handle, then I would recommend, of course, socializing more. And if he doesn't have the friends to socialize with, then the goal is to find friends to socialize with. And then from there, I would literally just make the goal of the day to just do at least one thing that's going to move him closer to accomplishing that goal. If that's going to meetup.com and finding a group that's special to him, I would do that. If the goal is going on Instagram and just finding people that live in your town that look like they're doing cool stuff, DMing them and being like, hey, bro, I came across your profile. You got a cool car. You got cool clothes. You look like you hang out a lot. I'm trying to be more social. Do you want to hang out? If that's what you got to do, then that's what he should do. Whatever it is, maybe it's dating. Maybe he broke up with a girl and he wants to go talk to more girls. Okay, cool. Go out and just cold approach girls. Let the fear sink in, but allow yourself to overcome that fear, because once you overcome that fear, then that's going to give you more motivation, and that's going to be that like mental boost that's going to make you feel better. I don't know what it is because I don't know this guy personally, but I would pick something: health, wealth, relationships. Figure out what you're most lacking in one of those 3 categories, not all 3 at the same time, just one of those 3 categories. Figure out what you're lacking in the most that really impacts your life, and then create a goal to improve in whatever pillar of those 3 categories: health, wealth, relationships. I would pick something to improve on, and that's it. And I say this because I feel like I know that probably sounds basic or super simple, but my thought process is, and this is what I did. Once you start doing something that builds more objective results, like really objective results, then you'll kind of get this positive feedback loop, and then you'll feel happy about yourself. You feel like you're actually accomplishing something and moving forward in your life. You feel like you're progressing. I feel like progression is what makes people truly happy in life. I think it's the lack of progression that kind of makes people depressed or makes people feel miserable, makes people feel lost. Usually whenever I see someone who seems so like down and so out and they feel like they're unhappy, it's because they're not progressing in anything that matters. That's the big thing. Because like you'll see people and they just like work like 9 to 5 every single day, and they are making money. But I think you talk to them and they're not happy. And I think the reason why they're not happy is because despite them making money, the money means nothing because it's not leading to a bigger objective. There's no progression. It's just consistency. It's complacency. Nothing's changing. And I think you need a little bit of that change, that gradual change over time to really feel something positive in your brain, to really get that like dopamine and that serotonin surge in your brain to feel happy. And I feel like that's what happened with this guy. He probably got complacent. He probably got into too much of a routine. And maybe he lost sight of what his goals were, or maybe he didn't have goals. And because he didn't have goals, or because he lost sight of his goals, he just feels like shit now. I'm just gathering. I'm just gathering based on what this person wrote. So I think by having a goal, you're not going to feel that way. You're going to feel like you're working towards something. And if it's a definitive goal, you're going to be able to track if you're actually making objective progress toward the goal. Like, for example, I always use fitness because it's an easy thing for people to understand. If your goal is to lose, like my goal right now for fitness is to get my six-pack back. It's pretty, I know it's not the most, it's not the most objective goal, kinda, technically, but it is still pretty objective because you can visually see a six-pack. It's binary for the most part. It's either there or it's not. If I wake up in the morning and my six-pack's not there, then I haven't accomplished the goal. If I wake up and the six-pack's there, I've accomplished the goal. And the more I can see the six-pack, or the smaller my stomach gets, or the less fat that I have around my stomach, that would enable that six-pack to be visible, the more I'm accomplishing my goal. And if, obviously if I'm gaining weight, then I'm not achieving my goal. So I got to change something. It needs to be measurable to a degree. And I think if he had a measurable goal like that, he'd be able to say, okay, I'm actually making progress. I don't feel like I'm making progress. I'm actually making progress. And by actually making progress, then again, like I said, it's going to be a positive feedback loop, and then he'll feel happier, and then he'll start to just feel better about himself. I would say one more final thing. People get way too deep into the self-improvement, like dark hole or black hole, whatever you want to call it. And I definitely think at some point, I was guilty of this myself. You start watching self-improvement videos as a substitute for actually doing the work. Like you're watching the videos and you think that's being productive when in reality, it's not. You're just procrastinating. It's another form of procrastinating. It's procrastination, and it's also kind of like mental masturbation in a sense, because you're not doing anything. You're trying to feel good by just doing the bare minimum instead of just doing the thing that'll lead to the results. Like if you want to go to the gym and like get bigger muscles, watching videos of dudes talk about how to get big muscles is not going to get you bigger muscles. The thing that's going to get you bigger muscles is actually going to the gym and lifting the heavy weights. That's what's going to get you bigger muscles. So I feel like this is kind of where this dude's at, where he had a routine. Maybe he didn't have a goal, or maybe he forgot the goal or lost sight of the goal, or the goal stopped being appealing. He fell off the wagon and he can't get back on the wagon because, again, the goal is the thing that's going to help him be motivated and disciplined long-term to kind of get him into motion, to force him to do something that's worthwhile. Does that make sense? So I don't know. That's what I would recommend. Get a goal. Get a goal in one category: health, wealth, relationships. Find a way to reverse engineer it so that way you can do things that lead to objective progress, and then do those things that lead to progress, and then just sharpen the blade, so to speak. As you get good enough in one category, if it's health, wealth, relationships, switch to another. Figure out what you're most efficient in and keep it going. And I think if you do that, you'll be a lot happier. And I say this not because, his title had nothing to do with happiness really, but I do feel like there's like an undertone of unhappiness, because his title was, does self-improvement work? Or is it a way we cope with how bad our life is? The implication is that life is bad, but life is only bad because he perceives it to be bad. And he probably perceives it to be bad because shit in his life is not working out very well. So if shit were working out well, he probably wouldn't think his life is bad. Does that make sense? So that's my 2 cents. That's my advice. Hope this video helps. As always, please like the video if it did. Please comment, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers this year in 2024. So subscribing would help a ton. But until the next video, peace out, see you, bye.